Hello, everyone. It's July 22nd, and we're right here now. But before we decry and be mad at Yahya Jammeh and 22 years of horror and dictatorship and all of the things that come with it, we might as well start asking what really changed. Was the dictatorship ever, um, did it ever leave? Or we're just seeing the newest reiteration of that reality, because we are here now and all we see is nothing but just what is happening. It's like, I'm just so tired of like us sitting here attacking Jammeh, Jammeh this, Jammeh that. But what we really should be focusing on now is the praxis of what we used to call New Gambia, that project, And unfortunately, that project is dead, and we're faced with this reality, this reality of a dictatorship that is in the making. We're seeing billboards propping up. We're seeing the promise of mosque. We're seeing these empty, fruitless promises all over again. So my question is, oh, you guys can't hear me. Can you hear me now? If you can hear me, holler. But all I'm trying to say is, what really changed? This is what we should be asking ourselves. We shouldn't be asking, oh, we all know what Yahya Jammeh did. We know the atrocities, that he had committed. Oh, gee, by the way, I am delivering a speech on behalf of Yahya Jammeh, you know how he used to do it, my fellow Gambians, every July 22nd. So this is it. You get it, all right? But this is the problem is we are caught in a sort of a historical, a politics of memory where we decry memory. And that's what we see this government doing is they use memory to, you guys can't hear me? If you can hear me, say something, let me know so that I can continue. Can you guys hear me? I mean, I'm doing the utmost here for you guys to hear me, so I'm going to continue. But I'm saying that what we are faced with right now is the politics of memory. This regurgitating of the past to justify the bullshit that they're trying to do. Every time you hear Barrow speak or his government, they're like, 22 years, we came out of 22 years of oppression. 22 years of oppression. Every time it's always 22 years, and then they invoke the name of martyrs like Solo Sandeng, to sort of justify their inertia, their laziness in doing what they're supposed to be doing, So we must question this politics of memory that is being pushed and is being sort of normalized. It's been normalized in New Gambia, So this is the thing. We are faced with this reality right now, and we are supposed to talk about this. I am so tired of this politics of memory. I'm going to be repeating this phrase over and over, because it sounds cool, and also it is the reality. Let's give up this. I mean, we don't have to forget the past. We always have to invoke the past for us to make sense of what is happening now. But we cannot accept this sort of constant, how do you call it? This constant regurgitation of the past instead of us focusing on asking the government of the Gambia what are they really doing, what they should be doing. We should use today to sort of ask this government, to 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 do something. We know where we came from. We know what is happening. We know the things that Jam had done. But what are they doing? What is happening in this country? Nothing is happening. Everything that we see that is happening is just like it's coming out of Jammeh's playbook completely. So I think we should start thinking again. We should sit back and have a conversation because we cannot have a government that is hell bent on promising our people. Barrow is promising people 60 mosques. Who told him that his mandate is to build mosques around the country? Who told him his mandate is to keep giving promises to people that would not be fulfilled? We all know that a lot of these promises he's doing will never be fulfilled. So this is the time for us to really question things. Are we really there where we should be? Are we really at that place where we are supposed to sort of start saying, yeah, that's really a departure from Yahya Jammeh's atrocities, from Yahya Jammeh's bullshit. But as of now, when you look at the APRC, they have been emboldened now. They've become very bold, in asserting themselves, in talking about themselves, in coming out in the public space and honoring this guy, this oppressor who had oppressed us. That only happens because, these people haven't done what they're supposed to do. And all they do is, we came out of 22 years of dictatorship, so we can't do much. We're still working on it. No, there is things you could fix. This theoretical enunciation of democracy is not going to save us. What is going to save us? The poorest of our people don't care about the theoretics of democracy, doesn't care about the abstraction of constitutional review commissions, even though these are important, they're milestones. But this is not what is going to feed the poorest of our people. And this is what we should be focusing on. We should be focusing on how do we have a society that is self-fulfilling, a community that holds her young back and doesn't throw them out, in the dangerous waters of the Mediterranean, or doesn't make them mentally unstable. We should have a society that, in the very least, the basics of life are guaranteed. But that is not happening. And all you hear is, we're still new. We're still new, and we're doing what we are supposed. We're still restructuring. This sort of bureaucracy and indifference to the people. This is what needs to stop. Gambians need to wake the fuck up, and realize this is not a joke. If this is a joke to you, then it's not the joke to the poorest person who struggles every day to put food on the table for their family, who struggle every day and walk miles to get water, just basic water to drink and to cook with. This is not a joke for people who strive every day just to get to school, for teachers who don't get enough salaries, for students who don't have the school fees. These are the basic things. This is what we should be focusing on. Our educational system is a mess. Everything is a mess. And these people haven't done anything that is worth the name development. And you still have people who are trying to make excuses for these people. Like this is some game that we are playing. That this is some partisan shit that we are playing. That, you don't like this government because you don't like this government because this government is because you are anti this party or that party, or you are this or that. But we need to be very clear on our terms. This is not a joke. What we are seeing right now, it's a very dangerous phenomenon that if we sustain, if we celebrate, it's gonna keep spiraling on. And when this shit spirals on, we are left on our own. Nobody's gonna come save us. We ourselves have to save ourselves. Forget activism. Forget party politics. Forget all of that stuff. Just remember the fact that most of our people are poor, uneducated, underemployed, suffering on a daily basis. And those are the conversations we should be having. When you look at a government, you don't look at the freedom of expression. You look at the condition of the masses. And if the condition of the masses is not improving, then the government had failed. There is no other way. There's the gauge for development is in the life of the everyday people. If the life of the everyday people is not improving, then you have failed your people. You cannot be in office for almost 2 years and all you could offer is, oh, at least we have freedom of expression. Like the poorest of our people care about freedom of expression. It's disheartening when you hear people say, at least in Jammeh's time, we had this, we had that, things were a bit better. And you don't have any argument to counter it because these people are not doing anything. And we must start thinking along those lines. For once, let's put aside our differences. Let's put aside our difficult differences and our petty differences and come together as a people and try to talk sense to this government. Because this government gets away with this bullshit, if they get away with what they're doing, another government will come and they will get away with it. The Faraba incident, for example, was very telling of where we stand with regards to this government. That you wouldn't respond to a people until lives are lost or something terrible happens. A government that only responds in times of crisis, it doesn't respond when nothing is happening. They're totally indifferent to our lot. And that's what needs to stop. That each and every Gambian matters. Each and every person, even if you are not Gambian, once you live in this country, your life do matter. Your dignity do matter. Your livelihood do matter. And this is what we need to be talking about. We can talk about this abstract stuff all day. We can talk about the theoretics of democracy. We could talk about separation of power. We can talk about, these rights, rights come with responsibility. All of this is nice. It helps a democracy. But that is not the core of the issue. When Gambians went out and voted against Yahya Jammeh, they voted so that they could change something, that their lives could be better, that their kids will stop dying in the back way. This is the type of stuff that we voted for. We didn't vote so that we could sit here and start criticizing the government every day for not doing what they're supposed to do. You think this is fun? You think it is fun to every day say to this government, do what you're supposed to do? It's not fun, it's boring, and it's painful because people are dying. The hospitals are in a mess. The roads are messed up. I just came back from Sanyang. If you're going to the beach now, it's so hard because all the roads are messed up. And Sanyang Beach is one of those places that is putting a lot of revenue in this country. But what happened to that? Why can't you prioritize places that are actually developing this country? This is our problem. We can say all we want. We can attack each other. We can hate each other. We can do all this stuff. But that is not going to change our condition. Ning ma wuli, nga Gambian ol nga nyina nying fatam fanso mimbe kering nga nyina nying ha ente munyim patilete so ente ni tete kukela no ete ni diam ta drong e la faka nyimman sakundale neng imal la fi nyimman sakundal imal la fi pour ye succeed wo manke kuote de kool be nyamin ray science teng na mol be janne be batarin jang kool be kolyaring domoro dabe kolyaring jio buga soto kurango be tabina business ol be soronkan silol be tinyaring kool loptanol to bortije mo nyanda ko wala mira wol be correct la no nyami ni wol man correct minse diamu jang ñoo attaque jang ñu non tela patidi ñu non tela na leader ñu non ñenti bari wo be mol sambala mu do wona ne hadama de musamba mu do ni aje mol kam man sekunda support ni aje mol ka parti support ila fal pour ni support ni nata ni katam man sati ye ma koy ye ku kay ñanta minkel. This is what we are supposed to be thinking. We're supposed to be thinking of how to move. not to have a country that is constantly doing the same bullshit over and over. In Jawara's time, it was the same problem. In Jammeh's time, the same problem. These people are doing the same thing. You know, so uh, let's think about along those lines. Forget our differences for once in our history, and think about, it's easy to be fighting each other when you have your food on your table, when you have drinking water, when you have a backup generator. So, but it is easy for you to say all of this stuff, to fight against each other, to talk about democracy, and to talk about this is happening, this is not happening. But it takes real empathy and real courage and real bravery and real introspection of self to understand that we are at a crossroads. This nation is failing, and we are failing as a people, and we have reached a point where we are supposed to come together as a people and pressure this government to give us the most basic of things. Our people are suffering. Food is expensive. Everything. The roads are bad. You know how many people make a livelihood through taxis and commercial vehicles? But how many commercial vehicles get messed up and destroyed every rainy season because the roads are bad? How many families will go back to eating the poorest diets because the sustenance, how they make their sustenance through those commercial vehicles are messed up because the roads are bad? So let's remember that. Let's not forget that the priority was always to go back to the basics. We must go back to the basics. On the 22nd July, what we should be thinking about is how far have we come? Have our votes really benefited us? This is the thing we're supposed to be thinking about. And unless we are centering those aspirations, unless we are talking about those things, we are going to be here fighting each other over abstracts, over particulars, not the universals. What we need is a government that centers land, food, water, shelter, basics. And none of this is guaranteed in this country. So I am honestly tired of all this this, that. What we need to be thinking about is how do we create a society, a nation that is educated, that is sustainable, that is developed, so that we will not give birth to another dictatorship. Because an underdeveloped society, a poor society, a superstitious society is the same society that gives birth to people who will oppress their fellow people. We need to create a society that is educated, developed, and dignified. So this is the task. It's not about being an activist. It's not about being a politician. It's about being a human being who is compassionate enough to think that you have something, another person deserves it. This is not an educational challenge. This is not about intellectual masturbations or gymnastics of the mind. This is real life. People die of curable diseases in this country because there is not enough drugs that could help them. Look at it. How many times, every time you scroll on Facebook or Twitter or any of the social media or newspaper, you see people who are seeking for overseas treatment. Every damn day you see it. You have GoFundMes to help these people. Can't we have one hospital that can actually take care of these advanced cases? Where's all the funds that come in this country? All those loans that we're going to pay anyways. What happened to all that money? If we cannot create our own system where we can have our own hospital, where we can bring development to this country, where people can go and be treated. We cannot afford that anymore. A lot of young kids are dying here with diseases that, they could be treated here when we really put our mind to it. So this is what we need to be thinking about. Not all these things, because it's too late for that. Let's unite as a people and pressure this government to prioritize our health, our education, our security, our food, basic things, roads, infrastructure. So I hope we go the way it is supposed to go, and that we remember this. We know that the times have changed, and everybody around the world are moving towards something, and we cannot be here, doing the same thing over and over, fighting each other, dividing ourselves based on religious lines, based on tribal lines, based on regional lines. We cannot do that anymore. Let's also have, how many of our people go for treatment in Dakar because we don't, if Senegal can have it, why can't we have it? So we need to prioritize. We need to really think about it and stop these petty differences and this infighting that we keep doing. We keep fighting each other over some stupid stuff every fucking day. Let's go back to the basics. That's all that matters. We can all be angry sometimes, and we can say stuff that, we might disagree about. But we must remember that the basis of everything, it's not all this. It's not to fight each other. It's not to be senseless. It's not to hate each other. It is to develop this country. This is a very little country. Our people are here. They're dying. If you don't live in this country, you wouldn't know the condition. Things are bad. So let's just do what we are supposed to do. Let's come together and show this government that this is not about politics anymore. This is about life and death. We need the basics. We need something that will, let's have something that is sustainable. Let's create a society that will not give birth to ignorance, to failures, to all these things. We need to create a society where every child can have enough to eat, where every woman can give birth without dying of maternal complications, that every old person in this country can have the things that they need for them to live a dignified life as an elderly person in this country, that we live in a country where people who come from outside this country will also be respected. Just yesterday I saw these immigration people. They came to the beach, and people were telling me how they keep running around, the retailing and running after these people from Senegal and Guinea-Conakry just for them to pay aliens. How can you keep doing this? Can't we respect each other? How can a black person be a foreigner in this country? So let's think about these things. These are the things we are supposed to be thinking about. We can fight, we can disagree. Everybody can support whatever party they want to support. But just remember that at the heart of everything is the need for us to create a society that is beautiful, that is dignified, that guarantees the basis for our people. I don't speak out against this government because I hate them. I don't have time hating them. I want them to succeed. Why? Because I live here. If they succeed, I succeed. The whole country succeeds. But let's forget about this pettiness. Let's forget about this, oh, Yaya Jammeh did this, he did that. We all know that already. And I'm not saying we should forget it. But what we should be doing is, because Yaya Jammeh is gone now, what has changed? If nothing has changed, then have Yaya Jammeh really left? Or was it was a man that left, but the institutions he created to oppress our people still remains? And that's the honest reality. So this is what we need to be talking about. So, happy July 22nd for all that it is worth. Okay, I was joking about that. But this is the thing. If you want us to prevail and to show the world that we really did what we did because we are against a dictatorship, a tyranny, then we have to come together and fight for ours, and fight for this country, fight for our people. And remember, it's the poorest people who matter. It is not all these people who have a little something. It is the poor. Just remember the poor. Whenever you are speaking out, whenever you are doing your activism or your politics, center the poor people. Don't forget the poor people. Don't forget the poor people. because they are the ones who are silent and they're the ones who voted out this dictatorship, the poorest, because majority of our people are poor. So don't you ever forget the poor people, the people who struggle every day to get water, just basic water. Remember those people who die in the hospitals because they have no money to fly their people out for overseas treatment. People here with money, they can take their people when they're sick, they can take them to Europe or America or Senegal, and poor people don't have that luxury. So let's remember that, and let's think about the poor people out here who are in the majority, the silent suffering majority. And so this is my message, and let's keep the word, let's keep the hope alive, and that we tell this government, let them do what they're supposed to do. Good luck and one love.